I loved The Lost Prince. I watched it last week, and I just thought it was a brilliant movie. I'm going to start by asking. It must be so great for you to watch a film that you can watch with your whole family.
Yeah, sure. I think it's the first movie I can watch with my kids, and I have 4 kids. I mean, the other one is 22, but the youngest one, she's 9. So yeah, it was really charming and lovable for me to be able to go to the premiere with my kids. And also they came on set, and with all these extras and marvelous sets, it was great for them. And to watch them playing on set was a great pleasure for me.
I mean, it's a fascinating theme, isn't it? The idea of the kind of notion of children growing up and losing that closeness with their parents that they once had. We don't see it sort of shown in cinema very often. Was that partly why you wanted to tell this story, is because you felt it was untapped material?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been offered that movie. The script was already written when they offered me, of course, and even if I rewrote a little bit the script, I felt there was something new. Usually, that kind of themes is worked on animation movie, but not live action movie. And I thought Omar was the perfect guy to inhabit this kind of character. And with these two sides character, one is a little bit in not dark, but it's not a shiny life. It's a very common life, and the other one is the prince, very brilliant. And so yeah, it was exciting. I felt that something, I don't know if we can say new, but something that I hadn't seen before. So yeah, that was very exciting for me.
Is it quite a hard thing for a parent to go to? Because at one point they're kind of your child to you. They're sort of everything. They depend on you. There's this kind of closeness that obviously you'll share, and then one day they have to be independent. And I guess it's something that every parent has to go through at some point. But it must be quite tricky.
Yes, it's something that tears you apart in a way. I mean, it's because till, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12, you're like the man on the moon. They always look so even if they don't want to look like you, but you are supposed to be the one who knows, the one when you do a joke, it's funny, and even if it's not, but they think it's funny, and they think that is what is funny, and suddenly they discover other way of thinking, their own way of thinking. They read books, they have their own autonomy, and it's part of your job to give them that autonomy. So it's something. There's a paradox here. You are proud of them because they are growing up, and you're happy for them because they are being not adults, but like a very specific human being. And in another way, there's something you lose, yes, of course, and your brightness is suddenly fading, and you become just a normal, average human being like all the other, and it's something absolutely sad, of course.
But do your kids find you cool because of what you do as a profession, and obviously winning an Oscar and stuff like that? Or do they just see you as kind of boring old dad?
Well, the Oscar thing, blah blah blah. I think they don't really care, and actually, I should ask them. Maybe they think like all parents have Oscars, and but in a way, I'm thinking, yeah, I think that's exactly what they think, even if it's not like the same statuette. But every parent have something he's proud of. Every parent have his own failure, and the room where he is very very good, and so yeah, your parents. I mean, I'm very proud of my parents, and they don't have any statuette, but it's not the question. I mean, your parents will be. I mean, if you're in a happy family, your parents will always be best person in the world. I mean, so I hope that's how they feel. But I mean, the elder one, the one who's 22 now, I mean, she's really into her generation. So, you know, she's a little bit okay boomer with me, a little bit. So I have to accept it.
And I think the film, The Lost Prince, did a really fantastic job of balancing the kind of quite profound elements we're talking about kind of parenthood and children growing up, but with being really funny and very enchanting and almost quite slapstick, some of it, particularly in the dream sequences. How was the balancing of those two kind of different themes, the kind of funny and the profound at the same time?
Well, it was all the tricky thing on that movie was exactly that, to find the right balance between something which is really sincere about the character and I don't know if you can say profound, but something that tells really something. And also we had to be entertaining and visual and a dreamy movie. And so we had to find the right balance. But even the jokes are supposed to mean something. I mean, the story behind the jokes has to be coherent with the rest of the movie. So, but with Omar, who's a brilliant actor and the kindest person you can imagine, it was really cool to work with him. And but we had to find that balance during the rewriting, during the shooting, during the editing.
And I was wondering, because I felt in some ways the tone of the film almost felt quite akin to a Pixar movie. I was wondering if like Pixar films were an inspiration to you at all.
Yes, of course. I mean, Pixar is what you call a game changer. I mean, after them, you can't imagine a movie for kids the way you would do before them. So, and especially that kind of theme. I mean, they really work on that theme to grow up, to become, to go out from childhood, and so yeah, of course. I mean, you can't do like they do not exist. I mean, they are the best at that kind of movie and that kind of on that theme. So yeah, we didn't want to copy them, of course, but still it was there, and there's a lot of reminiscence of Inside Out in the movie. Even it's not the same sequence, but the theme is here. So of course we had to think about it, and also maybe a little bit of Toy Story in a way. Some maybe the sequence with the toys, but we really try to make our own movie, obviously.
Do you remember any stories that you were told as a child, or are there any stories that you tell your kids that are quite funny?
Well, not that much. I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, it was a different era. I was born in '67, and I don't remember my parents telling that much stories. I mean, it was more like, go to bed now. It was more like this. And we wouldn't have the TV, I think. I mean, the TV came later, maybe 75 or 77, something like that. And I don't know, we just would go to bed, and that's it, for what I remember. And for my kids, I mean, we bought like tons of books and stories, and but I have to say they prefer when I invent stories. And but the stories are always like really, really, really stupid and really always not surrealistic, but it's always that when you have to invent it, to invent a story, it's very difficult to have like a well-built story. So I always do the same. I take a character and I try to put him in a situation and to he wants exactly what he can't have. So, for example, like a polar bear, he wants to go to the sun and to be on the beach, and that kind of. So it's always the same kind of thing, but they like it because you know you put jokes on it, and that's it. And when you don't know what to say, you tickle your kid and he loves it.
Yeah. I was reading that obviously you were the head of the jury at that Sarajevo Film Festival
Yes, sure.
recently.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you, being on the jury there, and what was it like, kind of doing it in a kind of post or mid-COVID world?
It was great, actually. I mean, obviously something was missing because it was like an e-festival. I mean, it was we with the jury we would meet on Zoom, and but still, I mean, the movies were really, really, really good. It was really, I was really enthusiastic because it's a different way. I mean, there was a movie from Romania, Azerbaijan, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Greece, and it's a different way to live. It's a different way to shoot movies, a different way to tell stories. And it was, I was really enthusiastic. I mean, really, it was really refreshing for me to watch all that movies, and how we had discussion with the other members of the jury. Yeah, I was really happy, really happy. Of course, I mean, just in terms of festival, when you go to a festival and you're a part of a jury, you meet people and you discuss with them, you have dinner with them, so you don't just discuss about the movies you see, but many things, other movies, how you work, how they work, and so it's way more interesting and you meet people more profoundly. But still, I mean, I really enjoyed it, and the other things obviously was you had to watch the movies on your computer and just by yourself, so it's not the same experience. But still, I think it was really good that we did it.
Yeah, maybe they could remake 12 Angry Men, but everyone's on Zoom.
Yeah.
I don't know.
12 Angry Men or
yeah. But because I was wondering about the future now of the film industry. I mean, obviously, as someone who's been making films for a number of years, how do you think the whole pandemic will affect the industry? Do you think that when this is all over, we'll be faced with a completely different film industry?
I'm not sure it will be completely different, but different for sure. I think the pandemic already engaged. I mean, here before the COVID, obviously, and the process was already there, but the COVID gave like really made everything go faster. But I think we have something. The crisis still is important. I don't have any answers, of course, but what I feel, I don't know if I'm right, but usually when there's a crisis, it's always, a market is made on supply and demand. And usually you have a crisis with the supply or you have a crisis with the demand. And I feel like we have a crisis with the supply and with the demand both. And I think it's really new. I mean, there's not that much movies in the theater, but even with the movies, people don't go to theater. So I don't know exactly how we're going to fix it. And obviously we need the blockbuster. We would need Mulan. And so I think this is not good. I hope, I don't have the numbers of Tenet, the Christopher Nolan movie. I hope it will be good. I don't know. I feel like a lot of filmmakers will go on platforms more and more to make movies or series, but we have to keep we have to keep the theaters alive, obviously, because it's really a space of freedom. We need the theaters. We can't make it with just, I don't know, 10 or 15 platforms. They have to be larger than that.
Because I mean, your films have always been so cinematic. I mean, the artist is a love letter to cinema and the act of going to the pictures and going to the theatres. So I'm assuming with this kind of move into kind of streaming services, if you made a movie and they said, "Oh, Michel, it's going to go on to Amazon or Netflix," how would you feel about that? Because I gather you're quite a big champion of the film going experience.
Well, it's not exactly how I think about it. I mean, from the filmmaker's point of view, you want to make the movies. So if the market can't finance your movie, and so what's your choice? I mean, if a platform say, we can finance your movie, I mean, look at Bong Joon-ho or Martin Scorsese or other major directors. If the only way to make the movie you really want to make is to go on platform, I mean, people look at movies on platform, and it's another way, a new way, but another way to watch movies. So I wouldn't say it's such a trauma. I mean, you can make it. What would be very sad if it was the only way. I mean, it can be an alternative to some kind of movies. If you want to make a genre movies, for example, maybe it's easier to go on platforms, and you can make it. I mean, there's no, it's not a big problem. The big problem would be if it's the only option, if there's no other option.
And obviously after the huge and deserved success of The Artist, which is still one of my favourite films of the last 20 years or so, lots of people anticipated that you would move to Hollywood or make films in Hollywood. Does it frustrate you in some way that that's the expectation of European filmmakers? If you have success, suddenly everyone just thinks, well, now they've got to go and make a movie in America. But actually, you've been making brilliant creative films at home. So, I mean, that is the way people perceive it to be, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I first thank you, but yeah, I know what you mean. Some people would expect me to go to Hollywood because it was like, but it's a way of thinking Hollywood as the heaven for filmmakers. I still believe that France is filmmakers' paradise because I'm 100% free to make my own movies here in France. I have no big problems to finance them. I have the final cut. It's really, I mean, I make my own movies. I'd like to make at least one movie in Hollywood, but it really depends on the condition. Actually, I accepted like 2 or 3 movies, but the process is so long, because when you ask something to someone, this person has to ask to another person, and the process it takes 6 months to have an answer. So while they are thinking about the answer, I had written a script, and you ask another question, and you finance your own movie. And so for 3 answers, I have time to make my own movie here. So personally, I don't have any frustration. I wish I could make one movie, at least one in Hollywood, but I have no real frustration. And I have to say, I was a little bit annoyed when all this, The Artist story came. People would say, wow, now your life is going to change. And I was like, yeah, but what make you think that I want my life to change? I mean, I really like my life. I'm a very happy person, a happy director here in Paris. I have my family, my kids, my friends, my work, and maybe I don't want to change my life. And so, and things happen like that. And yeah, I'm a happy man. So I don't have any frustration.
But I'm assuming, did you get a lot of offers then from Hollywood and stuff? I mean,
Yeah,
I imagine.
Just after The Artist, they thought, and because I made usually they ask you, for what I understood, they ask you to make the same movie that the one you had success with. But the thing, they wouldn't ask me to make another silent movie, obviously. So I had very, very different kinds of movies offers, and from anticipation movie, comedy, thriller, all that kind of movies, historic pieces, and but there's a movie I wanted to make, and I made it, and because things were not that easy, I continue to make my own movies.
So my final question, because I know I've gone over time slightly, was just about what's next. I was reading on IMDb, which is obviously where I do all of my research, that you're doing an animation. Is that true?
Yeah. I started to work on an animation movie. I draw for many, many years now, and I started when I was 10. So you imagine. And yes, it's based on a book written by Jean-Claude Grimbert, who was a famous playwright here in France. And his father was deported during World War II, and he always that's his the heart of his work. I mean, he works on deportation, Jews in France, and war, and that's his heart of work. And he made that beautiful book. It's a beautiful story, very simple. It's like you read it and it's an instant classic tale. And so I loved it, and so I made the adaptation with him, and we started to work. We still, if there's a very rich person that listening us, we still try to get some more money to finance it, but it's okay. We're in good shape, and I'm working on it. And because animation is a very long process, I always work on a pure 100% comedy and something really funny. So I make both of them.
Okay. Cool. Well, I can't wait to see it because I love The Lost Prince. I watched it with my wife. We were on holiday last week and we watched it, and I think I shed a few tears at the end. I thought it was great.
Thank you very much.
And Omar in that outfit. What did he look? How did he respond when you showed him what he had to wear in the dream sequences?
Not that good. At first, it was, "Why are you sure you want me to be dressed like this?" And I convinced him, and but as I said, I mean, he's such a nice person. Really, the instant you meet him, you love him. And I knew him for a long time, and of course, we met many times. And I wouldn't say we were friends, but we knew each other, and we knew that we wanted to work together since a while, and. It was great. But the first try of the costume were really funny because he was not sure, and he was looking at me like that. And when he's almost like 2 meters, like 1 meter 92. So when a guy like him look at you like, "Are you sure?" You have to be very convincing to push him to be dressed like this. And no, but it was okay. And he lives in LA, and there's the colors of the LA Lakers basketball team, so it helps a little bit.
It's a good way to convince him. He's a brilliant actor, and also just before I do go, I mean, your wife is wonderful in this movie. She's great in everything.
Yeah, I mean, we really worked on that character because in the first draft of the script, the character was very different. It was like I don't know, not very funny. It was almost a sad character. And we totally transformed the character to make. I think she's really funny, and and I love their sequences. The rom-com sequences are really funny with both of them. Even if it was a little bit special for me to watch Omar kissing my wife, it's something that it's an experience, of course, and. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but it's part of the job. So
at least he wasn't wearing that outfit while he was doing it. At least it was a separate.
No, he was in the normal one.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Michel. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you today. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, hopefully, in the future, if the world goes back to normal, the next time if I interview you, it'll be in person again. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly, and we can shake your.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. Well, have a lovely day, and I'm not sure if you're on holiday, but have a nice festive holiday if you are. And
thank you,
ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed. Yeah.
Nice.
Hey You Guys.